quarterback is going to be? Is that kind of eased up the scouting, or is it just still just as difficult as Coach Mellon was saying, and the system doesn't change for quarterbacks?
Yeah, I don't know that it has a dramatic impact on our preparation. Just about every game we have in our breakdown has been with the same quarterback playing. So that's a team that, and they're going to do, even in the games prior, the first 3 or 4 games of the season, they are running basically the same plays. So we understand on the board what we're going to get, and I think the quarterback he's shown to be more than capable of making plays.
What do you credit Missouri's offensive struggles to? Is it the new quarterback, or what is it that has prevented them these last couple weeks?
I know Missouri's saying the same thing, but the first thing we showed our guys, they have it must be 12 to 14 plays that are touchdowns that either the ball is overthrown by an inch, the receiver had it in the end zone and hit the ground, and it kind of rolls out. The first 3 plays of the game against Florida, they're behind Florida's secondary for a touchdown, and both guys step out of bounds. I mean, the guy has the ball running for a touchdown with no defender between him and the end zone, and both guys just step out of bounds. So there's been a lot of bizarre plays like that. That the more they happen, the more obviously it affects a team's confidence, and I'm sure they're certainly tired of hearing that. But what we showed our guys, because the first thing we knew that they would talk about is the run without touchdowns. We showed them what we call 14 touchdowns that they had scored, that just for one reason or another, that on the chalkboard, what the offense did to the defense, that they were behind the defense and it was a touchdown on the chalkboard. It just didn't turn out to be a touchdown. So we know that for us to have any chance of success, we can't let those things happen, because the odds are that their level of execution is going to match, and then those things will start becoming big plays from down the road. They've got good coaches, they have good players, and they know what they're doing.
I know you've said in the past that the defense in your scheme focuses in on the run game first. So I guess how often would you scheme, or would the quarterback matter in this case? Obviously they switched quarterbacks, but when in your scenarios would it matter, hey, you know what, they switched to quarterback, that's going to then affect our scheme?
Well, it would depend if the quarterbacks had dramatically different skill sets, where one was much more of a runner than a thrower, and the other one was more of a stationary guy. If they changed, some teams will change personalities if they have different quarterbacks. And then obviously if you're playing a quarterback who might be so superior at doing one thing that you may have to change some things to try to take that away, and that might affect the way you play the run. But in college football in this day and age, the run game is still every quarterback's best friend. And you've heard it a million times, but that doesn't make it untrue. Is that you're still trying to make a team one-dimensional, and they're aware of that, and they got to try and do things to try and get the running game going, and we got to try and do things to get it stopped.
The last few games, you've been able to run the 4-2-5 look a little bit more, and how much is that due to the progression of those young safeties back there?
I would say it's half due to those guys getting more comfortable and being able to take more reps on the field, and then also just half due to the offenses that we've been playing. We've really gone 3 straight weeks, and Missouri will be 4 of playing teams that originate in a lot of full wide receiver sets. So a lot of spread sets where we have a chance to get the most speed we can on the field and try and get our better pass defenders out there. So, but it doesn't matter on the chalkboard if the guys can't make the plays inside. So again, having a guy like Peters and McLaurin, and of course Brandon Bryant, their development's been crucial to our success in the last 3 weeks.
Talk about development. Talk about Corey Thomas, and not just Corey Thomas, but the depth at D-line, and what you see from those guys now, 8 games into a season that may have been concerned about coming into the season, but now 8 games in.
Yeah, they're coming. It's always a slow process, and it's like grades 1 through 12. There's small graduations where they can go from a guy that's really hard for them to almost take a snap in a game because they either can't get their assignments right, or they're just so in awe they just play slow. When you don't know what you're doing, you play slow. Then they get to a guy that can play a couple of snaps and go in there and execute, at a minimum level, and then they get a chance to get in there and actually do things to where they can make a play, and that usually lags the same exact development in practice. Usually they kind of do the same thing in practice, and then finally when they become competent in practice and they're starting to be able to do things in practice, then a few weeks later comes in games. So those guys. They have been important. We need them, especially this time of year, because everybody's getting a little bit banged up, and you got to be able to share the reps more and more. So, Braxton Wade, I thought had his best week of practice, I think, going into the game this past week, and then of course the fun play of Corey getting the interception. Just that's the type of thing that just keeps getting those guys and just letting them know to trust Coach Turner and just keep working with them, because their development is starting to show.